Welcome to Between Two Stops, your ultimate podcast for diving into the latest trends and topics in the pool service industry, bringing you insightful conversations with the best and brightest industry experts, inspiring stories from successful business owners, and educational insights to enhance your skills and knowledge. Buckle up. Between Two Stops by Skimmer starts now.
Welcome. This is Niki Acosta, hostess of the Between Two Stops podcast. And we're going to do a little something different today. I'm really excited about today's guests and about a really cool upcoming event that Skimmer is hosting. But before we get into that, everybody meet Justine Rae, our Director of Community at Skimmer. Justine, you've had a pretty cool career coming into Skimmer, in previous lives. Before we kind of get into the Pro Summit, which is what we're going to talk about today, tell us how you ended up at Skimmer.
All right, I'd love to. Hello, everyone. How I ended up at Skimmer. I actually started my career back in the day in the beer business. And it's funny, you wouldn't think, well, maybe actually you would think there's a lot of parallels between the beer business and the pool service industry. But it was really about this whole world of connecting and bringing our drinkers together through in-person events. And it was this amazing experience of seeing what happens when you bring people who have something in common together, and how a lot of those connections lasted, long beyond they were gone from our beer events. And that was one of those things when the opportunity came up at Skimmer, was really working with our amazing customer base and really diving in, and not only just bringing Skimmer's, mission to life in terms of helping them build better businesses. And obviously our software is a core piece of this, but the company really understood the importance of connecting our user base with one another, and really how that could help them propel their business to another level, helping them learn. So sort of taking that beer business experience and bringing that event world into the pool service industry. And I've been here 2.5 years, and I have to say it has been a phenomenal experience working with such a range of customers from across the country. Not only just the passion that they bring to their business and their own customer base, but also their desire to learn and grow. And that's really what we're going to talk about today, is how Skimmer is helping with our, I would say, sort of premier event in 2026, the Skimmer Pro Summit.
I think it's really cool too that you talk about, bringing people together, like physically too. Like we have our pool deck community, people can gather virtually, but there is nothing like being face to face with your customers. And
it is so true.
And it's timely now too, because, our VP, one of our VPs sent an article this morning about, how in like marketing and branding, that there's kind of this over reliance on AI to craft messaging. And when you do that, you kind of like lose a little bit of flavor, you lose a little bit of soul in the process. And so I think it's really, really great that we get an opportunity to host such an amazing event and bring people together IRL, in real life, so they can meet each other and meet our team. And I think it really changes their perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we hear from so many customers who came last year, or even, just when we're talking to them throughout the year, that how it can feel so isolating working on your own and in your own business, and finding that time to connect with their peers and even knowing who to connect with. So this is really why, we have those amazing virtual programs that we run throughout the year. I know, Niki, you do your webinar program. I run the pool deck community. We have our workshops. We do virtual meetups. But, for anyone who's been there in the past and anyone who's interested in coming, I promise you, as Niki was saying, that magic of seeing one another is something. It's like that expression, lightning in a bottle. Like it is powerful.
And there's beer.
And there is beer. I know. I always sort of laugh because I tell people, when the first, when we get up and we sort of say, you're going to be here for a minimum of 12 hours, and they sort of look at you like there's no way. Meanwhile, they're cracking a beer at the end of the day, and we're extending the bar for another hour. So, definitely. As I said, beer and pool service, they go hand in hand. So it's just a natural fit for me.
So Justine, let's get into the Pro Summit. So for listeners who aren't familiar, what is the Skimmer Pro Summit, and why did Skimmer build this event for our customers?
Yeah, as we were, talking about earlier, it really is about bringing together our community of users and really introducing them into one another, but giving them this sort of safe space to connect, share ideas. What are they learning? What's worked? What hasn't worked? What challenges are they facing? And I think of it like almost like an ultimate brain trust on the business where we can just help one another build a better business. And as I was saying, that's really what Skimmer's mission is all about. It's, helping them understand how to get more value out of our software, but also focusing on those larger sort of business strategies and development of those skills that you need across the board to build and grow your business.
So I'm sure a lot of folks are like, "Oh, great, another event." There are quite a few, pool events that happen regionally,
Yeah.
locally, nationally. What makes the Pro Summit different from these other events?
Well, from what we've heard from our customers, there's nothing like it that exists in the industry. And that's exciting for me to hear because it's really what we set out to achieve. And sometimes that's hard because it doesn't exist to get people to understand, what to expect. But it really isn't like attending a trade show. We're not trying to pitch and sell anything. It really is about bringing in experts and helping build professional development skills in terms of things like marketing, leadership, employee engagement, like all these areas. No matter where you are in your business, you're going to be able to take something away. And then we really have, as I said, lots of time for networking, because what we understand in creating these events is a lot of the conversations that happen outside of the sessions are really where you also get a lot of those valuable and actionable nuggets, and really about making those connections. We've had over the past couple of years, people, meet up outside and develop mentorships and all of these things, because you get this intense window of time together. So you actually do build this true valuable network within your industry and your peer group. And I think one of the most important things is really, if you look at all these other industry training events that are out there, they cost money. And really what we do at Skimmer is we invest in this Skimmer Pro Summit where there's no cost. It is an entirely free for you to attend, because we really do want you to build a successful business. And that's why we put this on, and that's why it's different from what's out there.
Seems like a win-win-win. I was at the last two summits, the first one in Austin, the second one in Phoenix, this one happening in San Antonio. And it's so great to see the magic that you describe. And I don't think I quite understood. I've done a lot of trade shows in my career, but this is not like a trade show. It's like, like you said, professional development, networking. And it feels like by the time you leave that you have, new family members, which is so cool. So we have a couple of clips that we want to play from folks who attended last year. And so let's play the clip from Brian Marcinick. He is the founder of Happy Pools on the Florida Space Coast. And let's hear what he had to say.
This is my first time attending the Pro Summit, and regardless of size, I wish I did it last year. When it was myself and a single polar versus now us at almost 1,000 pools. There's something for everybody at this conference. The networking that you get, the education that you get is just absolutely world class. The ability to connect with our largest vendor and software provider, which obviously is instrumental to our success in the industry, has been invaluable, and I'm so happy I attended.
Ryan is spot on. I mean, he has built a really, really incredible business, going from, being a single polar, relocating back to, his home stomping grounds after a stint working for a larger company in Texas. And what an incredible company he's built. Let's also hear from Keith Johnson. Keith Johnson is an industry titan. He is a leader at the FSPA, the Florida Pool Association out there. Such a great human being and so much wisdom. But let's hear what Keith had to say.
The biggest thing for me is that it allows me the opportunity to do the networking with other pool professionals smaller and larger than myself. And I often learn that I can learn a lot from them as well as they can pick up ideas from me. It's a free exchange of ideas and thoughts and how the businesses are ran, and it works really well for all parties.
And what a doll Keith is, and I really hope he can make it to this next one. And last but not least, let's hear from Tony Miller of Yuma Pool Pro Service in Arizona.
The deal was I didn't really know what was going on, why we were doing this. I'm like, are they going to try and sell me some stuff? Is this going to be like some big old infomercial, or I don't know what it is? And to find out that Skimmer is really just trying to build some community here. It's really a place that doesn't, I don't know that it is, the one thing about our industry is so fragmented. And so this is a space that hasn't really been filled.
And there you have it, folks. I think the theme of networking comes up quite a bit, which is great. I think when you're at trade shows, yes, you do get to network, but you're also trying to go to classes and meet with vendors and try to knock off as many things on your list and also try to have a little fun in between. I really love the way that you curate the agenda for this because I think it really lends itself to making time dedicated to networking.
Yeah, I always sort of think about it. It's not about the quantity of conversations. It's really about the quality of conversations that you get to have at the Pro Summit that make the difference.
So looking at this year's summit, which is going to happen in October, what's new?
Yes. Yeah, well, as you mentioned, we're going to San Antonio, so just down the road from Skimmer head office in Austin. And it's going to be the biggest gathering of our Skimmer community that we've ever had. Our goal is to double the number of attendees that we had last year in Phoenix, with 250 passes available. And we really took to heart the feedback we got from our attendees last year. So we're expanding this to a 2-day event. As you said, it's October 16th and 17th. And we've moved this to a Friday, Saturday. And really the hopes there, based on what people told us, is that more people can attend if it's on a weekend. And if you're traveling in, we also pick San Antonio so that you can hopefully enjoy a bit of a mini break and take an extra day or two to explore, the city. And we have an awesome location at the San Antonio Marriott Riverwalk. So we're right in the heart of all the action.
So if you've never been to the Alamo or walked or strolled through the Riverwalk in downtown San Antonio, there's shopping, there's dining, it's a really, really cool kind of historical, neat place with tons of history. So if you've not been to San Antonio, you're thinking about it, come on down. The location is pretty epic, I must say. Good job on securing that venue. Justine, I know how much work you put into finding the perfect venue and how many cities you had to visit to find the right one. It's funny because one of the requirements was, we need to make sure that there is parking because a lot of our pool pros have big trucks and some of them don't fit in the parking garages. And so that's also a consideration when you're booking these things, which can be more of a challenge than you would think.
Yeah, 100%. And I did the due diligence, Niki. So you always make sure I have that on my radar. And there is plenty of above ground parking. And we're super close to the airport too, which is great if anyone wants to fly in. This truly is a national event. So we really encourage, no matter where you are in the country, to make your way to San Antonio and come and join us.
So who should make their way to the Pro Summit?
All right. So we really look at companies and individuals who do want to invest in their own development and grow not only themselves in terms of their own skill set, but how they're running their business. And sometimes that can be just, driving more efficiency. It doesn't necessarily need to be, growing and adding more locations. So I think there's a number of areas where no matter how long you've been in the business, how big your business is, there's something here for you. And we really design it based on 2 types that you're going to have in your company. So that's the original owners or founders of the organizations, or members of the executive and management team who are responsible really for the business strategy, those overarching sort of operational plans, and just the general leadership and people management. How are you dealing with, keeping employees engaged? And, that's one of the biggest challenges we always hear and people love to connect on. And then the other group that we really encourage to join is the office administrators. We really like to think of them as our Skimmer champions because they're in there in the software every day. They're using it to schedule, they're managing critical workflows like quotes to cash or their customer communications. And really what we want to show them and take the time, and we learned this last year, and you've probably heard it in the video clips that Niki played, is everyone walks away with understanding new functionality or ways that they never knew they could use Skimmer to help automate, different workflows or pieces of their business. And that's really why we try to bring those two groups together. We have a couple of passes available per company. So you come down as a team and then you take away all that information. You can go back and collaborate, build a plan you want to implement, and share all of that knowledge with the rest of your team members and action it right away. As I said, there really is content. Like some might be long-term in terms of your planning, but I promise you, there's going to be nuggets that you can put into place the next week.
We heard from one of our customers who was there last year. She's in Texas. Her name's Chancey Green. She's on all the webinars. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And just a really, really amazing operator. And she was bummed because she's going to be at a wedding and can't make the Pro Summit this year. And what did she say? She said like something to the effect of like, this single event like powered my whole year.
Yeah. She said it energized her for the entire year. And that's the thing that's sort of cool. I hear that word a lot because you can almost feel the energy in the room, like it's palpable, everybody's it is a long day together. And this year, as I said, we're going to be together for 2 days, but it goes by so fast and everyone's so engaged and feeling connected during the whole experience. So I told Chancey we'd try and bottle some up and send it to her after the event.
I will say, time does fly there. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the sessions are really good. Like they're really amazing.
Yes.
They're not snooze fests. You're not going to, be falling asleep, at the table, even after you eat lunch. There's like, high energy, really, really useful, helpful things that happen, including discussions. Speaking of which, so this is a 2-day event this year. So talk to us about the experience over those 2 days.
Yeah, depending where you're coming in from, we encourage people to start arriving on Thursday or Friday morning. And then Friday is what we're calling the Skimmer Champion Training Day. So in the morning, we're going to have our entire customer success team there. We're encouraging everyone. We're going to send out booking links in advance to anyone who registers. And you can book a 30-minute session one-on-one. You're going to go deep into your own Skimmer setup. They can, review all your configurations in the platform, help you improve some of your workflows and how to automate certain things. And if you have any specific questions as well, you can let us know in advance so they can be prepared for when you have your time slot to answer that. And then in the afternoon, I'm super pumped because we're doing something new this year. And again, this was based on the feedback from last year. So we're breaking up the Skimmer training into a separate focused afternoon. We're going to have multiple sessions running basically between probably about 1 to 5 p.m. on Friday afternoon. And basically you bring your laptop, you're going to pre-select which sessions you want to attend based on what's going to be the most value to your business. And then you're going to be able to follow along and actually learn how to do things real time in the software and be able to apply it either in sort of a sandbox setting if you don't want to play around with your own data. So we'll have all of that set up and it's going to be step-by-step instructions and we'll be posting all of that information in terms of all the different sessions so that, again, you pick the ones that make the most for what you need to achieve in your business. And then on Friday, just to get the social connections flowing a bit more, we're going to do a happy hour again, just so people get to meet one another. And then it's, go out and explore the river walk on your own. Hopefully by then you've made some new friends. You can head out together and then just make sure you still keep it together. You don't go too wild on the Friday night because Saturday is like another spectacular day with what we're calling this is a bit of a alliteration, build a better business day. And similar to last year, this is really where we're going to have our product discovery showcase. We're partnering with a number of industry leading vendors. So you can go and have those conversations over a nice breakfast. And then we jump into a full series of sessions where, as we've talked about, business skill development, industry trends and panel. Obviously we're going to be talking about AI. I know you have a webinar on that coming up next week, but by the time we get to October, AI will be in a whole other different space, right? So it's all of those things that you need to be on top of in terms of not only where the industry is, but where it's going, as well as talking about some best practices amongst our customers. And I know, Niki, you and me are going to be working together to cook up some pretty amazing content that everyone's going to benefit from.
I will say that is one of the funnest things I get to do is like be at these in-person events and, talking to so many pros, it's kind of, you kind of hear common themes of where people struggle, whether that's like hiring and retention or, team culture or, business questions like, tax questions, employment questions. There's always a number of things. And, it's interesting too that, that we're going to devote some one-on-one time for some of our customers too, because just in case y'all haven't noticed, shameless plug for Skimmer, we're launching a ton of new stuff. And we know that like right now, folks are busy. They're drinking from the fire hose, tackling all the 911s, pools are opening. And so there's going to be a lot of things that are probably going to be launched that people may not have time to go and learn about. And so not only do they get to do that at the Pro Summit, but they get to do it with their customer success manager and form those relationships. So I think that's really great too.
Yeah, and Niki, I'm glad you brought that up because that's also why we're really having that expanded Skimmer training session on the Friday afternoon, because we really are going to go deep into some of those, really valuable new features that we've been releasing and really make sure that we build power users in the room so that they can go back and either, implement them themselves, but also, train their coworkers to understand how to use these and just the value that it's going to bring back to their business moving forward as they get these things stood up.
So last year there were also breakout groups, and
yes,
in my opinion, the breakout groups were probably one of the biggest highlights. And so tell us about how we structured those breakout groups.
Yeah, it is one of the, like you said, sessions that we get the best feedback on in terms of, value back to the business. And it's really about, as you were saying, how we thoughtfully design the agenda, because we try to spend a lot of time putting out a lot of information, intel into the general group, and then bringing everyone together. And this is really for the owners and the management and the founders, and getting them around a table. And we organize it based on the size of their business. So you're in the room and around the table in a small group with other peers who are at a similar stage of growth as you and facing similar sort of challenges. And that's where we really find, again, I talk about like the lightning in the bottle, the value, the richness of the conversations. And it's a 90-minute session. And again, you might think that sounds really long, but last year we had to go and, sort of wrap them up because people were getting so into it. And again, that's where it was cool, because once we had into the Skimmer social evening, you could see those connections, firing up again and those conversations continuing. And I know you actually led one of those groups, so you can sort of speak firsthand in terms of the types of topics and value that those 90 minutes deliver to everyone who goes.
Yeah, so I was in a room with larger companies, and there was so much wisdom, shared in that room. I mean, I bragged about Keith Johnson earlier, but he is just, he's built an incredible business in Florida, and runs he treats his team members like family, and he's had the same people working for him forever, and he's just a really, really great guy. And there were people who were running into challenges with retention or culture, and he was able to say, what worked for me is XYZ. Similarly, there were smaller companies that have been growing really fast, and they're making acquisitions or, figuring out a strategy on how to sell and buy routes to kind of tighten their routes up. And those are also very valuable discussions as well, because, when you talk to somebody and you can get kind of a firsthand experience, you are probably not going to make the same mistakes that other people have made. And people were very forthcoming about how they've learned things the hard way, which I think is always valuable to make sure that you're not repeating something that's going to go sideways.
Yeah, and I think that's one of my, things that I love most about being a part of Skimmer in this industry is exactly what you said, is the willingness for our customers to share like the good, the bad, the ugly, like really just honest conversations with other people's best interests. Like you don't have this competitive feeling in the room. You really just have a sense of camaraderie and that mentorship and that collaboration happening. And you don't get that in every industry. And I think that's really what makes those roundtables so valuable.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that some of our IPSA chapter friends, so the largest IPSA, which is a trade association that's in multiple urban areas, especially in the Sun Belt. But the largest IPSA chapter is in San Antonio. They won all kinds of awards, and it's a really big, super tight family, and they're buckets of fun too. So I'm hoping that we'll have some of our local friends join us for the Pro Summit.
Yeah.
So while we're doing this, we talked a little bit about the Skimmer Champions.
Yes.
So tell us what the Skimmer Champions get to do while they're at the summit.
Yeah, so since we're breaking up the training onto the Friday, we're going to do something new this year, and they're going to join a product ideation lab with our product team. And, we're working through the logistics of what it's going to be, but just imagine you get to jump in and share your ideas, like your Skimmer wish list, or, comment on things that are already being developed and help us optimize certain workflows and give us feedback on real-time development. And what are the pain points, that we could help solve for on your business, that Skimmer can't currently do. So that's really what that Skimmer Champions are going to be doing while the owner roundtable conversations. So again, it's a really, I was going to say sort of agenda design for where we come together, where we break out, and then we come back together for one final session of the day, which is where everyone's going to get a first look at Skimmer's product roadmap. So they're going to be the first to know what's coming next, which is sort of cool. And then from there, as you were saying earlier, this is definitely about professional development, lots of education, getting more value out of Skimmer. But also what makes it amazing is just the injection of fun. We also have lots of laughs, and then we wrap it up with our Skimmer social closing party, which is down on the Riverwalk. We have an amazing location for it. So again, we'll have, the bar will be open. We'll be cracking some beers, and I just look forward to that sort of wrap to the night. And if it's anything like last year, I'm sure we are going to wander somewhere down the Riverwalk and keep the party going.
Yeah, the party went pretty late last year.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. I think I left when blue shots started to be served. I was tapped out. I was like, that's a bad idea. I don't know what that is in that shot glass, but I don't want it, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, luckily, you're not going to have an early morning flight. Hopefully it'll just be a later drive back to Austin on the Sunday for you.
So how do passes work?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I just want to double down on this. Passes are completely free for Skimmer customers. This event is exclusively for Skimmer customers. It's part of the value that we bring when you sign up to be, again, part of our community. The value of it is over $750 because we cover meals, we cover drinks, we cover all of the training on the Friday and the Saturday. All the details can be found on our website. And as I mentioned, we do have an open bar for the closing party. We give everyone an awesome welcome bag that's got all sorts of, goodies from our amazing partners and some, awesome branded swag. And we also have a special hotel rate if you want to stay at the San Antonio Marriott Riverwalk Hotel, $234 a night. I mean, there's lots of hotels or Airbnbs in the area, but sometimes it's nice just to roll out of bed, hit the button in the elevator, and just come out onto the second floor, and there we are. But lots of accommodation options in the area, and we have a booking link for that. And then the one thing I do want to say last year, just because, again, Skimmer invests a lot of money into hosting this event, as you can imagine, putting it on for 250 people. And also because, we often end up having a wait list. So if you can't come, just let us know. We understand things come up, but just send us an email. All of this information will be sent out to anyone who registers, because this year we're going to charge a no-show fee if anyone doesn't let us know that they have to cancel, just to help us, as I said, make people feel, I don't know, that there's a value to the pass.
Yeah. And, like you said, it's a huge investment of food and beverage and all of that planning. And we're not unreasonable here at Skimmer. We know things come up, but if you can't make it, just give us a heads up.
Yes, absolutely. And then also that frees up a pass if someone's on the wait list. We open that ticket up to them because, again, we want to have a full house because, for us, again, it's really about expanding that opportunity to connect with as many people as possible.
So how do people register, and what should they know before they do?
Okay, well, it's pretty simple. You're just going to go to our amazing Pro Summit webpage. It's oh my gosh, I got to speak clearly here. getskimmer.com/pro-summit,
Let me try
SUMMIT.
that again because it's actually a forward slash. Getskimmer.com
Oh,
/ pro-summit. You know what? I'm going to put it in the description so people don't need to hunt for it.
thank you,
How about that?
Nikki.
Yep.
All right. And we just launched last week. So hopefully some of you are already aware. You've seen, emails and posts and things like that. It is available on a first come, first serve basis. We only have 250 passes, so we expect them to go quickly. And then we're sharing the 2025 agenda, just so, if you want to get a flavor of what we did last year. As I mentioned, this year, it is a 2-day event like we've highlighted. Our agenda, we're just finalizing it, but it's going to drop in August. So we'll share that with everyone who's registered. And we've got some really amazing speakers that we're working with right now and finalizing, our panel discussions. You're going to see Niki there as well, doing the amazing work that she always does. So, really, if you have any questions, also just send us an email. Happy to answer them. And we really hope that you and as I said, someone else from your company can join us, because I think it is great if you can come and collaborate and take all that information back into your organization.
So, Justine, as we kind of wrap up here, if someone's on the fence about attending the summit or figuring out can I swing this or is it worth it? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I get it. It's hard to walk away for your business, for 2 days. But based on the feedback I've seen from all the surveys we received over the past couple of years, it is so worth your time. There's nowhere else where you're going to be able to sit in an experience like this with 250 other professionals and have completely candid conversations and understand, it's almost like group therapy, because they get what you're doing in terms of working in this business. And, everyone we asked said 100% they would do it all over again, and they felt more connected to their community. And like you were saying with Chansey, just felt really energized. And sometimes we need that recharge, like having that ability to talk to someone and just get it out and just feel like you're feeling heard and understood, and also getting inspired with new ideas. So I feel like, just the practical tools, the ideas you're going to start to get, not only in terms of the business, but Skimmer, but the peer connections, the mentorships, the referrals, it's all going to extend well beyond the event. So the value just keeps going. It's like a flywheel effect. You're going to spend those 2 days with us, but you're going to get benefit and value throughout the entire year. And it's a perfect time in October, because it's going to set you up really nicely as you start thinking about 2027. And the cool thing as well, if you're worried about leaving the office, you've got Skimmer. So you can just stay on top of your business while you're there and just check in. So you really aren't going to miss anything. And I feel like it is a win-win situation. It's a free event with your peer group. We're going to teach you some stuff, and we're going to have a lot of fun as well in the process.
And you say process because, for those of you who don't know, Justine's Canadian.
Yes. Process. Is that correct? Process?
She also calls the bathrooms, what do you call it? Washrooms.
The washrooms,
You want to
yes.
head to the washroom. Which
I will definitely give them directions on where to find the washrooms at the Marriott Riverwalk.
Well, look, Justine, I'm excited. I met so many amazing people at the previous Pro Summits, and their relationships that keep giving, and nothing brings me more joy than for one of those people to reach out to me and say, hey, that other company that was sitting with us in that room, can you broker an intro, because I wanted to follow up with them about a thing. And that's the value of it right there, is like those in-person connections. It's really an investment in yourself and in your company, and in the health of your business. And for that reason, 10 thumbs up. Like, if you get a chance to go, you won't be sorry you did. Justine knows how to throw a pretty amazing event.
Well, and I'm very fortunate because Niki and the Skimmer team are all going to be there. So you get to meet us in person, and we get equally energized by meeting all of you. That's what keeps us, gas in the tank all year, as we're working on all these events and programming. So more to come on it. Thanks so much, Niki, for letting me come in today and just help people understand what it is and why it's worth their time. And as you said, the link is going to be there. Get your pass as quickly as you can, and then just stay tuned. I'm going to be reaching out keeping you informed with like the things like Niki was saying, the parking details, the agenda, everything you need to know to have an amazing couple days with us.
Hooray. Well, thank you, Justine. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We have really cool guests coming up in the very near future, and look forward to bringing you more episodes of Between Two Stops.
Between Two Stops is brought to you by Skimmer. Save time, grow revenue, and deliver a seamless customer experience with Skimmer's all-in-one pool service management platform. Get started risk-free at getskimmer.com.